Well, that was part of the deal. Mercury has a very toxic effect on your body. And the toxicity itself is, I think it's impossible for the immune system or for the regulatory system of the body to overcome the metal toxicity. And I think it chooses to try and decompose it with the method of last resort, which would be fungal. Decompose this enemy. Well, if we can't expel it, let's try to decompose it in place. And I think a lot of people will suffer with fungal infections, primarily candida, I think, but others, as a consequence of their toxic burden.
Yeah, that's quite interesting when I think of my own story. So I was very young when I started getting metal fillings, probably 4 or 5. And then those teeth obviously fell out. My adult teeth grew, and then I just continued getting more, mercury amalgam fillings. And I also had a mercury amalgam root canal as well that I wasn't aware of till about 30 years later that I'd actually had that done. So I had 5 metal fillings, 1 root canal that was probably 50% of the visible tooth was mercury amalgam. And around the same time I started getting fillings in my adult teeth, I also started getting quite severe acne. Now, what was interesting, when I got to the point when I was 31, and I got to the point where I was starting to work out, because I was working in health at that time, and I started to realize, so I'd also been taking antibiotics for 18 years, and I went to see this guy, and he ran loads of tests on me, and he said, first thing you got to do is stop taking antibiotics. He said, you've got a candida overgrowth. And so, considering I had a mouthful of mercury and I've been taking antibiotics for all that time, it's no surprise I had a fungal infection. And it could have been, the last decade or more, that it was the fungus that could well have been causing the acne as well.
Yeah, probably all related. I mean, all of this happens in the gut. That's where this battleground is, right? When you drink chlorinated water, just basic tap water, why do you drink chlorine? Well, it's in the water because it's there to kill the pathogenic bacteria, but it kills all bacteria. So you drink chlorinated water, it's wiping out the microbiome in your gut. And then you really put a fine point on it with the constant antibiotics. I mean, you must have had a very distorted terrain in your gut. So no wonder the body was not functioning well.
Yeah. And even, well, how long has it been now? 24, 25 years later, when I run stool tests, my gut microbiome is still not what you'd expect for someone that lives the lifestyle that I lead as well. So, there's no doubt it did some, long-term damage, as again, you'd probably expect taking, drugs like that for such a long period of time.
Yeah. And as time goes on, I'm learning new things, right? Like I'm learning about the pH balances, how you need to have acidic stomach, but alkaline duodenum, and how you need to supply the right things. And if the microbes are not working correctly, how the interaction of prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics functions. Postbiotics being the product that the probiotics, the microbes, are supposed to be producing. Like they're supposed to be producing short chain fatty acids like propionic or butyric, lactic, things like that. And so if you have misconfigured terrain or underfed terrain, you will end up with problems.